having more fun than a human being should be allowed to have. Rush Limbaugh behind the golden EIB microphone. The Excellence in Broadcasting Network. Now back to the phones. This is Jeffrey, Quincy, Illinois. Glad you waited, sir. You're on Open Line Friday. Hi.
Hey, thank you, Rush, and happy birthday to you. I would like to say that regarding the Democrats and the general Democrat person out in the United States, most of them, or actually many, many more, are not in favor of chain migration. They're not in favor of anchor babies. And what I would do if I were in Trump's shoes, I would ask each of the 213 members, Democrat members in the House of Representatives, to go on record and say, yes, I want chain migration.
Why do you think they're opposed to it, the Democrats?
It's just not popular. It's not, it's Dick Durbin wants it. And
since when do they care about that? None of what they want to do is popular. That's the point.
Well, Rush, what I would do is I would make those, everything's about getting votes and everything's about winning elections. I would say I only got 70 calls over the weekend of reps who wanted chain migration, so we're not going to do it. I would say if you want it, then you go on record, and I'll tell you what, that along with tax cuts, it'd be a hell of a referendum to run on in the midterms. I don't think the Republicans could lose a seat if it was about chain migration and tax cuts.
Well, okay, I'm going to have to think about this because I grab audio soundbite number 5 again. This is Senator Durbin, Democrat from Illinois. In fact, before number 5, let's see, grab soundbite number 6. Some of you in this audience, particularly if you are millennials, or if you're older than millennials and you've only recently started paying attention to all this, I want to take you back 13 years ago, 12 and a half years ago. This is June 14th, 2005. George W. Bush had just started a second term. And Dick Durbin, senator from Illinois, and he made a floor speech on the Senate floor. It was about what's going on at Guantanamo Bay and things that we had learned about the prison at Abu Ghraib in Afghanistan and Iraq. And I want you to listen to how this guy, this Democrat senator, now I've mentioned the Democrats beginning in 2005 onward did their best to undermine the war in Iraq and the war on terror. They did everything they could to undermine the American military. They were accusing the American military of being rapists, of terrorizing women and children. John Kerry did that. A guy named John Murtha, who's now dead, from Pennsylvania. The Democrats were on the warpath. And the things they were saying about American military officials, uniformed military personnel, pale in comparison to what Trump said yesterday. They were impugning daily the integrity and the honor of the military of their own country, and it was epitomized, highlighted by this speech. We have 31 seconds of it from Dick Durbin.
If I read this to you and didn't tell you that it was an FBI agent describing what Americans had done to prisoners in their control, you would most certainly believe this must have happened by Nazis, Soviets in their gulags, or some mad regime, Pol Pot or others, that had no concern for human beings. Sadly, that's not the case. This was the action of Americans in treatment of their own prisoners.
So there he is describing our prison interrogation techniques at Guantanamo Bay, and he's comparing them to Nazis, Soviets in the gulags, Pol Pot. These are people that committed genocide. These are people that committed mass murder. A Democrat Senator Dick Durbin is comparing the American military and the people at Guantanamo running that prison to that kind of behavior. That's the kind of stuff. Those are the kind of words that really, really offend me. And so it was Dick Durbin today. He was in the White House yesterday for this meeting where they attempted to roll Trump on the DACA deal. So he leaves, he flies back to Illinois because it's Martin Luther King weekend, so I guess a congressional recess. And he was on TV from Chicago today. And after assuring everybody that he had heard Trump say that word, and it was appalling, and it was unseemly, and I never thought I would ever hear anything like that in the Oval Office. It was bad. It was very bad. It was horrible. I was so depressed. I was so disappointed. I couldn't believe I was listening to it. He followed it up with this.
When it came to the issue of, quote, chain migration, I said to the president, do you realize how painful that term is to so many people? African Americans believe that they migrated to America in chains. And when you speak about chain migration, it hurts them personally. And he said, oh, that's a good line. And then when I talked to him about the impact this has on family unification in a nation that values families with the flag as the most important symbols of our future, they scoffed at this notion. It was a heartbreaking moment.
All right. Now, this is a great illustration of just how the Democrats operate. They just make it up out of whole cloth, and they put things together, words together that are designed to be insulting and demeaning, and in this case, totally made up. There is not a single person in this country, when the term chain migration is used, who thinks of slaves arriving in America 200-300 years ago, enslaved in chains on slave ships. I've never heard of this. This is totally made up. There isn't, and to try to say that whenever anybody uses the term chain migration, that African Americans cower in fear and huddle in their corners and get worried and frightened over who's coming for them is just absolutely insulting and ridiculous. Chain migration has no relationship whatsoever to slavery or African Americans. It is a specific term related to a certain type of result that happens from allowing illegal immigrants amnesty. It's a way for one person being granted amnesty to all of a sudden become 5 or 6. And it is used purposely to subvert American immigration law. And here's Dick Durbin trying to twist it and say that it is a racist term used by Republicans. This is who they are. This is how they operate. And I will guarantee you the fact that he's willing to make this up and try to pass this off should tell anybody and everybody what they think this situation, the use of that word by Trump really is. It's nothing more than an opportunity to get rid of him, the latest, greatest opportunity to get rid of Trump or to vault themselves to the House control, Senate control 2018. And they are missing everything that's happening right in front of their faces, just like they missed it when Trump announced in June of 2015. They have tunnel vision. They are unable to see any event outside the narrow boundaries of, can we use this to destroy Trump? That is how they see every event, every comment that is controversial or problematic. Every comment, everything Trump says, everything any Trump supporter says, the narrow boundary of, can that be used to destroy or damage Trump? And that's all this is to them. I do not believe that they are morally outraged. I do not believe that they are in any way offended. I believe the exact opposite. I think they are excited. I think they are ecstatic. And I think they are happy that Trump used that word because of the opportunity they think it gives them. They're not sad. They're not disappointed. They're not offended. They're not outraged. They're not crushed. They're so excited they can't contain themselves. The New York Post is reporting that Republican Senators David Perdue and Tom Cotton say they don't recall President Trump specifically smearing Haiti and African nations as bad places at an Oval Office meeting they attended Thursday. So David Perdue and Tom Cotton say they don't recall hearing Trump say it. Trump has denied saying it, sort of. But anyway, the James Clyburn of the Congressional Black Caucasians is now saying that they're going to demand that Trump be censured over these remarks. Are you kidding me? Clyburn censured? Speech police phonies. You know, I tell you, the hypocrisy and the moral arrogance, the superiority of these people. I've been around these people when they're cutting loose. I so worn out with these people presenting themselves as somehow the model of propriety and perfection when it comes to all things political. And then the judgmentalism that they dare to sit in whenever some of their so-called codes are violated. And then along with it, as always, is the presumption that everybody in America is as outraged as they are, which we happen to know is not the case. It never is.